There's been a lot of talk lately about the special significance eclipses have as it relates to the signs of the times and warnings preceding the second coming of Jesus Christ. This video will look into the significance of these eclipses. More than ever before, I'm seeing people both in the church and outside of the church identifying what they believe are these, quote, signs of the coming of the Son of Man. Nothing wrong with that. We are in fact encouraged in Scripture to do just that. The Lord himself said that we should be looking forth for the great day of the Lord to come, even for the signs of the coming of the Son of Man. He goes on to be very specific about signs and wonders that will be shown forth in the heavens above. But when he's talking about the heavens, what does he exactly mean? The guide of the Scripture says that heaven has two terms. One is a place where God lives, and the other is the expanse around the earth. In Moses 1:17, it makes it clear that heaven in this context is where God set the sun, the moon, and the stars. So while it can mean more than this, the heavens is often referring to the moon, stars, and planets in space. For a while now, people have been getting excited about the two big American eclipses. As most of us remember, on August 21st, 2017, there was a full solar eclipse that went directly through the middle of the U.S. Then, on April 8th, 2024, there will be another eclipse that crosses it. Many people have found this significant for many reasons. First, the center of the 2017 eclipse passed over 7 cities named Salem. Salem meaning peace or city of peace. Is the eclipse the sign of ending peace on the earth? Additionally, the point where these two eclipses cross is in Salem, Kentucky, and even on Salem Road. Second, as you can see, these make an X over America. Some have associated this with the ancient Hebrew letter Tav, which is the 22nd letter of the Hebrew alphabet. While it is now written differently today, anciently it was an X. It was depicted as crossed sticks and would have been used to mark the end of a field so someone could plow a straight line to the end. It is the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet, giving significance to the end. It literally means a mark or sign, so some say this is God's final warning before the end. They are nearly 7 years apart when these two eclipses happen, which others find very significant, as they believe that in the last days there would be 2 3.5-year periods before the second coming. There are 2,422 days between these two eclipses. When split in half, it is 1,211 before and after December 14th, 2020. On December 14th, 2020, there was another eclipse in South America. This date does seem to have some other events associated with it, such as the Geminids meteor shower, which peaked on December 13th and 14th. People have gone on to add other potential significance to these dates, including it being the date when the U.S. Electoral College votes, midweek Hanukkah, and just a week before winter solstice, and the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. Others even begin to draw dates between this and when the World Health Organization first declared the coronavirus a pandemic, being 40 weeks prior on March 11th of 2020, attempting to tie greater significance to prophecies in the book of Revelation. But most are attempting to tie these events to Matthew 24:29, which says, quote, immediately after the tribulation of those days, meaning the pandemic or believing that it's the pandemic, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. I can certainly see how people can connect those dots and come to that conclusion, but are we on the second phase of the 3.5-year period prior to the second coming, or are these events just coincidental? I mean, when God paints a big X marks the spot on Babylon, should we be worried? Yes, I think we should be worried, but not necessarily because of some special meaning in these two eclipses. These charts are showing total solar eclipses only, no annular or lunar eclipses, so you can see all of the X's they make. In fact, if it wasn't for the slant in the moon's orbit, we would have both a lunar and a solar eclipse every single month. But because of this slant, we get a full solar eclipse 7 or 8 times every 10 years. As it turns out, most make an X exactly 2,422 days apart, with another eclipse exactly between those dates, which shouldn't surprise anyone because eclipses are very regular due to the orbits of the Earth and the Moon. Some might say that the X over America is unique, but it happens again with a full solar eclipse on August 12, 2045, and another one 2,422 days after on March 30th, 2052. And yes, exactly between those two dates is another full solar eclipse on December 8th, 2048. But what about all those 7 cities named Salem that the 2017 eclipse passed through? Isn't that unique? It is true that the path from the eclipse passed through 7 Salems, although I haven't been able to find Salem, Wyoming on a map. In reality, most states in the United States have cities named Salem. In fact, Salem is the 8th most popular city name in the United States. I think it would have been even more impressive if God could have routed an eclipse around the cities of Salem. See, a common problem is our approach. God tells us to look at the signs to know when he will return, but instead we pick a time we think he will return and then find what we hope is supporting evidence for our theory. All too often, our supporting evidence is on shaky ground at best. Worse yet, those ideas getting evangelized and people blindly believing them without any validation of their own. When those conclusions turn out to be false, many begin to lose faith and even fall away. But don't think I don't believe in signs in the heaven. I absolutely do. I did a whole video on the interpretation of Revelation 12, which is all about a very specific sign in the heavens, but I encourage listeners to do their own research and come to their own conclusions. Now, if you do believe that eclipses and the Tav sign is the sign prior to Christ's second coming, it would seem much more likely, in my opinion, that it would be the next Tav that happens, with the 2045 and 2052 eclipses over North America, rather than the one we are currently in. But why are we so focused on America at all? Not that scriptures ever tell us, at least not that I can find, but it seems that these events that precede the second coming and many of the other signs that we are looking for are more related to Jerusalem rather than America. And yes, there are 2 eclipses that create a Tav over the Middle East. The first one is September 12th, 2053, and the second is April 30th, 2060. Scripture is not very clear about specific signs to look for, perhaps other than the one in Revelations 12. However, in Revelations 8:1, it says that there was silence in the heaven for the space of a half an hour. This is repeated in Doctrine and Covenants 88:95, which gives us a bit more detail. And there shall be silence in the heavens for the space of half an hour, and immediately after shall the curtain of heaven be unfolded, as a scroll is unfolded after it is rolled up, and the face of the Lord shall be unveiled. Many LDS associate this with a 20.8-year period of, quote, silence. The 20.8 years comes from 2 Peter 3:8, which says, 1 day to the Lord is 1,000 years to us. So if you divide that out, you get that 30 minutes is 20.8 years. So some believe that when the Doctrine and Covenants and Revelation say half an hour, it means a period of about 20 years on the earth. But what about the reference to silence? What does that mean? Well, I don't know that anyone is sure. Some feel it is a period of peace on the earth. To that I say, good luck. One possibility is a more literal interpretation, meaning for the space of about 20 years there wouldn't be any signs in the heavens, a time where we don't have an eclipse, for example. Now, we know that there will always be eclipses. I find it interesting that after each Tav with the X in that region, there is a period of about 20 years that passes without another full eclipse. Over North America, there is a gap of about 20 years between 2024 and 2045 between eclipses, as well as another one between 2052 and 2071. In the Middle East, we are currently in the middle of a 20-year silence between eclipses that started in 2006 and ends in 2027. Another will begin in 2034 and end in 2053. There are lots of assumptions for this to be accurate. It would mean that the scriptures are only referring to total eclipses and no lunar or annular or even partial eclipses. It also means we aren't talking about something else, such as comets, conjunctions, planets, constellations, etc. It means it is speaking about a region, because there is no time when there are no eclipses worldwide for 20 years. It also assumes we are right about 20 years silence being 1/2 hour in God's time. There are lots of other theories about what a half hour means. That is a lot of assumptions, not to mention 4 occurrences, 2 in each region in the next 50 years. It feels thin to me, but I thought I'd bring it up anyway. Another possible explanation for the silence in heaven is that it is for a period of time where God has withdrawn from us due to wickedness. Remember, he says in Ether 2:15 that, quote, "But thou shalt not sin any more, for ye shall remember that my spirit will not always strive with man. Wherefore, if ye shall sin until ye are fully ripe, ye shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord." So wickedness leading to a silence in the heavens is certainly a possibility. I hope this video helps you come to your own conclusions about the part eclipses play in the signs of the times as it relates to the last days and the second coming of Jesus Christ.